Okay, I know this hat is over the top, but I love it. It's one of my favorite hats. I know it's a little much. The reason I actually started wearing hats was, well, first of all, I love them. I love looking at pictures of them. I love how in England, they wear them to church. And in the South, you do have, some people wear them to church, but typically in my congregation, they don't. But when my son went on his mission trip, he went to England. And so then I was like, well, this is a good excuse to wear hats, that support him being in England. And so I kind of, I wear them, but I first started doing it because I wanted to remember my son and kind of support him, I know, in a weird way that makes no sense at all. But I was very happy because when people why are you wearing a hat? And I'm like, oh, well, my son, he's on a mission trip to London, England. And so it was kind of, a way to talk about him. And now I just do it because I love him. But there are certain things that we do to remember, like I was wearing a hat to, remember my son, or there's, that we remember special times in our lives, whether it's pictures you have taken or souvenirs that we have to help us remember. And it's so important to write these things down in a journal. When they're fresh in your mind and you remember. Because remembering and sharing experiences, especially experiences where you have seen miracles in your lives, is so important. I was reading, and I know you're going to go, what? But in Deuteronomy, and I loved this because it's in chapter 6. And, it's Moses, but he's telling them, to tell your kids, I love it when he says, when you're walking with them, when you're lying down with them, when they're waking up in the morning, to tell them why you do the things you do, why you believe the way you believe. And then he goes on to say in Deuteronomy, to talk about what happened in Egypt, how we were slaves, how we were delivered, a parting of the Red Sea, all of these things. Tell your children, why do you follow these commandments? Why do you look unto God? And you tell them about these miracles. And it was important for them to do this because, in Joshua, right after, Moses dies and then Joshua becomes the prophet, soon they're going to cross now the Jordan River to get to the promised land. And there needed to be a miracle. And had grandparents not testify about the miracles that had happened before, it's much easier to trust in the Lord with all thine heart when you've heard of others who have trusted and there were miracles. And here, they're telling the children of Israel to do this. And it got me thinking, do I do that? Do I tell my children about when God has been there for me? About how prayers have been answered, almost always not in the way I think they'll be answered, but that they have been answered. We told them about miracles and to see the miracles in your life. And again, it may not be the parting of the Red Sea or the Jordan River, but God is aware of you. And there are so many different miracles that maybe, most likely, we don't see in our lives. I know one way that, not one way, but a major way that God is in my life is, and that the miracles are the friends I have. That He puts people in your life right when you need them. And that just happens to be the right person at the right time. And you're like, oh my goodness, that's, how'd this happen? And it's because He loves you. And being aware of that and acknowledging that, and then testifying of that. And so I want you to think about, have you told about when you came to know that God is real? Or about miracles in your life? And two things happen when you do that. Two things happen. One, the more you share your stories, the more that the Holy Spirit confirms in you that it is true. And the second is, when you share it, that hopefully it's helping and uplifting the other person. I mean, God is aware of every one of you. He is your Father in heaven. And He loves you perfectly and more than we understand. And so, as a God of miracles, I know He will give me exactly what I need to become a better person. And I am so thankful for that knowledge. So go and share. Share to those who maybe need to hear it. Or maybe you just need to share it to help you grow, and to help you remember. Because thank goodness that the children of Israel did that. So then when Joshua and them came to the Red Sea, they were able to cross it. Or not to the Red Sea, when they came to the Jordan River. They knew that they would cross it on dry ground. So share, love, and be grateful. For God watches over all of us. And I am so thankful for that knowledge. I hope you have an absolutely fabulous, fabulous week. Thanks. Thank you so much for watching or listening to my podcast. You can find more podcaster videos at perfectlypattytalks.com, or you can search me up on Facebook or Instagram at Perfectly Patty. Thanks again.